Considering we're not very far into it, 2019 is already shaping up to be an incredible year for gaming. With some absolute corkers released last year, we've had some of the most definitive and emotive moments in gaming happen in record time, as well as those that change the industry as we know it. From Red Dead Redemption 2's incredible authorship of every tiny detail, to scaling haunted mountains that challenge what a platformer can be, to taking on the gods themselves should you think you're hard enough. Luckily, studios are hard at work on keeping that reflective and innovative energy high, with incredible concepts lining up neatly to roll up as 2019 continues. From new mechanics to old favourites, these are the titles with the potential to wield the future in their hand pixels for the games of the future. I'm Ash from WhatCulture Gaming, and these are 10 upcoming 2019 video games that will change everything. 10. The return of split-screen gaming. Halo Infinite. The glorious return of split-screen co-op is nigh, and it's Halo Infinite that is leading the charge against all heresy against it. Returning to one of the most beloved modes of gameplay that has been sorely missed in the online generation, the sixth entry into the Halo series has been projected to have a release date late in 2019. Split-screen co-op is a mechanism that Halo built itself on back in its prime, and to see this being brought back is nothing short of applause-worthy. Master Chief will also be back in his full glory, revitalising a character intrinsically tied to the Halo franchise. So all in all, it's a forward-thinking nostalgia trip that's giving fans exactly what they want. A smart move, if I do say so myself. Honestly, if it is executed correctly, Halo's resurgence of locally cooperative gameplay could spark studios' interest in releasing more games in the same vein, which is nothing short of a miracle. Long live being able to play a game with an actual, real-life person in the same room that you can annoy and throw things at and cheat by looking at their screen. 9. Animation systems and in-game storytelling. The Last of Us Part 2. Coming 6 years after the initial release of The Last of Us, Part 2 is set to build upon one of the most beloved PlayStation properties of all time, drawing out a whole new chapter with a now grown-up Ellie as she navigates a world still ravaged by the aftermath of a pandemic. A gameplay trailer has shown Ellie living up to the markers of the series in an intensely violent interaction between her and a group of unknown characters, with disemboweling and throat-cutting aplenty in signature stabby Last of Us style. The reality of the systems are something wholly unseen in usually fake demonstrations, so if the impossibly smooth, interactive and reactive environment displayed is anything to go by, it's no stretch to say that Part 2 will be offering some serious upgrades and expectations for other series and their sequels. And, of course, how demos should be portrayed in the future if it lives up to its own extremely high standard. What you see should be what you get, and what you get looks incredible. 8. A AAA game with an indie mentality. Death Stranding. Coming from the mind famed for the Metal Gear series, Hideo Kojima's first game release since disbanding from Konami in 2015 is set to be something very special and very spooky. Whilst it sadly isn't the Silent Hills game we were hoping to see come to life with Guillermo del Toro and Norman Reedus on board, infamous for its terrifying playable trailer in 2014, Death Stranding is set to be a pretty giant consolation prize regardless. And both Del Toro and Reedus have jumped ship to come along for the ride, which is very nice of them. Thank you, Mr. Del Toro, and thank you, Mr. Reedus. If there's anyone you want on your side, it is the guy made famous for being a crossbow-wielding, motorcycle-riding badass who kills zombies for fun. With a New Year's message of, is 2019 the year of the whale? Please look forward to Death Stranding from Kojima himself. It seems he's playing on the recurring theme of the aquatic creatures in what Death Stranding material we've seen to potentially tease a 2019 release. Whilst we really don't know much at all narrative-wise, Death Stranding is set to make some massive waves for Kojima's personal productions, and perhaps launch a whole new series since Metal Gear has been put on ice. 7. Character aesthetic directly influencing combat. Biomutant. Ever wanted to play as a tiny, cute, raccoon-like creature building your own mishmash weapon to save the world from death by pollution? How about spitting live moths as a distraction method? Are those far too a specific dream to have? Well, dream away, my guys, as it is exactly what Biomutant is bringing to the table this summer with its adorably deadly RPG that lets you craft, climb, and make world-altering decisions as you attempt to free the Tree of Life from oil and creatures intent on its destruction. That and some very weird ways of taking enemies down. Whilst Biomutant's premise might not be something we haven't seen before, its wonderful combination of sweet and dark makes way for a captivating world to roam around in, and its full customization could be something we see a lot more of in these types of titles. Biomutant will allow you to alter everything from your weight to your fang length, with each change directly resulting in how your character acts in the wider world. Be heavier and you'll be slower, but able to take more damage, for example. A clever way of having a reflective and reactive game based directly on your own construction that isn't an average skill tree. Whilst having purple hair and a face full of scars has always been fun, Biomutant manages to make it practical too. 6. An AI program as a protagonist. Observation. Touted as what could be 2019's smartest game, Observation is the next release from the developers behind cult horror hit Stories Untold, an episodic detective game that runs like a retro television show. In this new title, no code are taking on the science fiction genre and spinning it on its head, creating what's essentially 2001: A Space Odyssey, only you're Hal rather than some giant floating space baby or an angry primate. Probably for the best. As the artificial intelligence aboard a space vessel then, your task is to figure out what happened to the ship you inhabit since there's only one person available in your immediate reach, and she's trapped in an airlock. Observation looks to include some dazzling visuals from the mind of John McKellen, the guy behind the tech in Alien Isolation no less, as well as an intriguing story that shows genre work doesn't have to be cliché. With a title like this, it proves there's still fantastic new avenues to be explored and played through, and could really put no code on the map for console gamers as much as PC with their first PS4 release. 5. Reviving extreme sports and skateboarding games. Session. If you were one of the blessed generation to live your life via Tony Hawk Pro Skater, if your favourite Spyro entry is Year of the Dragon because you can bust out some sweet moves on a halfpipe, and if saying skate makes you weaker at the knees than a lifetime of actual skateboarding, then Session will have you positively frothing at the mouth. Regarded as the spiritual sequel to the Skate series, the game came about as a Kickstarter campaign that eventually earned over double its $80,000 goal after smashing the initial target in 3 days. People obviously yearn for the time of skate games once more, and Session is set to bring that golden era of clunky board hopping back to life in especially slick fashion. It is 2007 and everything is good in the world again. Now we can all start wearing Thrasher merch once more without shame. Thank you, Session. You've done more than you will ever know. 4. Altering the future of BioWare. Anthem. Oh boy, if Anthem is going to change anything, it is BioWare's status in the gaming industry. A partnership with EA as a replication of Destiny's success in the online multiplayer genre, the production duo have poured their all into an innovative role-playing adventure where you can smack down giant monsters, explore good old Lost Ruins, and do anything else that Destiny is doing but with a fresh new skin on it. With the release of the alpha returning some positive feedback and some great marketing turning the tide somewhat, Anthem does have a chance at being the sort of impressive project it was first billed as. But in the case of us getting a Destiny clone with messy EA fingerprints all over it, it could spell some troublesome news for BioWare, and specifically, the next Dragon Age installment. Do not cack it up, guys. 3. The evolution of choice in games. Man of Medan. Until Dawn was one of the best horror game releases of recent memory, combining a fantastically cinematic world with fully realised characters and an involving, creepy narrative, putting you at the heart of decisions that branch out and create different storylines. Until Dawn was a choose-your-own adventure where the aim of the game was to keep as many people alive by the end as possible. Kinda hard with a psychopath and some supernatural ghoulies on the loose though. Man of Medan is Supermassive Games' next installment in the Dark Pictures anthology, a series of games built upon the foundations of Until Dawn's premise about spooky games for spooky people, but this time set out in the ocean with some grotty-looking crewmates. It's set to kickstart a plan that the production company have to release 2 titles a year under the banner, so if successful, could be the start of an excellent long-running addition to the horror genre that's something entirely different to the norm. Bandersnatch, eat your heart out, am I right? 2. How to do a remake. Resident Evil 2. With the past few years riddled with excellent reboots of beloved franchises, Crash and Spyro in particular, It only makes sense that Resident Evil gets the same treatment. The remake of the first game offered up a different iteration of the original story with more powerful enemies, switched up puzzles, and of course, the ever-present graphical upgrade to make the zombies that much more gross. And the Resident Evil 2 remake looks set to do the same. Returning to its most popular roots and fiddling with a winning formula isn't always the best approach to take. But Resident Evil's great example of how to update something original respectfully whilst adding new content means that Resident Evil 2 is set for a fantastic launch this year. Taking some of the improved qualities of Resident Evil 4, such as over-the-shoulder camera rather than fixed, the relaunch can bring a whole new audience to a franchise that's earned its stripes in both gaming and the horror community, whilst proving that remasters don't have to be a by-the-book redo of what we've already seen. It is just the right time for this sort of idea to take off, and with the original popularity of Resident Evil 2, 2019's iteration will surely turn heads in the industry. 1. Changing open-world interaction forever. Cyberpunk 2077. Coming from the same studio that brought you the unrelenting force that was The Witcher 3, CD Projekt Red's newest endeavour is your average Blade Runner fan's wet dream. An open-world science fiction game styled on the genre of its namesake, Cyberpunk 2077. After Witcher's intricate storylines and eye-melting graphics proved exactly what the studio was capable of, Cyberpunk is an incredibly exciting prospect that's rumoured for release in summer 2019. Undoubtedly the next step in gameplay standards after Red Dead Redemption 2 raised the bar in November last year. Cyberpunk 2077 is set to put a new standard in place for AAA titles, upgrading the first-person shooter into an interactive adventure through seedy alleyways, high-tech districts, and android-heavy worlds of a distant dystopian future, as well as being based on a Dungeons & Dragons pen and paper premise. If you thought gaming had hit new heights, this title is set to climb right past them and chuck barrels on their head from afar for good measure. And that's our list! What upcoming games are you most excited for? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I've been Ash and this has been WhatCulture. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the WhatCulture YouTube channel for more lists like this. And don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. Thanks for watching!